Nice to be here. Thanks, John, for organizing this event. And yeah, I'm happy to be one of the performers. John messaged me saying Ravi had backed out from his full set and he needed an Indian to replace him. Because apparently the city government is funding parts of this and they need some diversity quota fulfillment in order to provide the funding. That's not true, actually, I made that up. It's the woke folks have agreed to donate money to the event only if there is enough diversity in the performance. Yeah, so just keep your expectations low, since I'm not here on merit, I'm just here to fill the Indian slot. And yeah, how many of you here have white guilt? Cool, yeah. So you can laugh harder, especially if you have British ancestry, you can laugh really hard, because then we can strike a karmic deal of sorts. And if you have any kind of chronic inflammatory pain issues, they might just disappear in a few days. If you laugh hard enough. That's how it works, karma in the body. Let's see, I moved to Asheville a few months ago. It's been 9 months now. It's the widest place I've been by far. It goes without saying. And I can really feel how the body keeps the score. Truly. Yeah, I go to Botiwala, the Indian place. How many of you have been there in West Asheville? Yeah, cool, yeah. It's delicious food. Honestly, some of the best Indian food I've had, period. Even matches the quality you get in Mumbai. And it's just filled with white people, behind the cashier in the cooking the food, eating the food. And it's quite trippy to experience that, because it's really decorated beautifully. It actually feels like an Irani cafe back in Mumbai. And for those of you who don't know much Indian history, which probably most of you don't know much Indian history, India has this big population of people who left Iran because of persecution and whatnot, and they settled in India and ended up becoming some of the best businessmen in India. And part of the reason is because Hindus have a lot of superstitions, and one of the superstitions that Hindus have is you don't open businesses on street corners. There's some vastu bullshit, just energetically it's not good, but for money it's great if you have a business on a street corner. So all the Iranis ended up opening restaurants on street corners and became super successful. This is the story of India, foreigners coming and becoming very successful. Started with the Iranis, then the British, and now the white folks doing yoga teacher training in Rishikesh. Yeah, but it's odd, that experience of being in Botiwala, surrounded by white people, is that in some ways it's the fantasy of every Indian boy growing up, to feel, high class amongst white friends and be surrounded by white people. So it's an odd experience to have a childhood fantasy come true, and at the same time feel all of the panic in my somatic system. And I realized it's a trauma dream coming true. That's what it is. It's a dream come true, but it's a traumatic dream coming true. Yeah, so I've been wanting to feel connected to white culture. Just feel a better sense of connection, and so I bought a convertible last year. It's me and rich old white people in North Carolina driving convertibles, and I kind of feel a bridge of empathy now to what it must feel like to be a rich old white dude. Which is you live life as if every day was a vacation. That's the life they're living, and I get it now. It's been really beautiful to have this bridge of connection to extreme privilege and feel like, oh yeah, I can also live my life like every day is a vacation. Yeah, the car I had before this was a Toyota Corolla. This was back in like grad school days. I came to the US 14 years ago to California, and I bought a Toyota Corolla. Like a good Indian immigrant boy, I bought a Toyota Corolla. The Toyota Camry is like the luxury car for Indian immigrants. Toyota Corolla is like, okay, yeah, you've made it, you bought it. It gives good miles per gallon. You know, in India, the first question they ask you when you are thinking of buying a car, and this is a small Hindi lesson for all of you, so you're going to repeat it after me. It's like mileage kitna deti hai. So mileage kitna deti hai, which means like how many miles per gallon do you get out of the car. So this is like slang Hindi you're learning. You know, you won't learn this on like Duolingo. This is the actually useful stuff. So when you go to India and you have an Indian friend, you ask them mileage kitna deti hai. So Corolla, you know, has like great mileage. I bought it from like an old Japanese businessman in the Bay Area. Used Corolla, 10,000 miles on it. Smart choice. Every time I sat in it, I imagined like all the Indian aunties telling my mom, "Look, your son has made such a responsible choice." Like that was my kink. Driving the Corolla, just imagining, oh yeah, Vignesh has made such a responsible choice. He bought a Corolla. That's what I imagine feminist men go through. It's like they're imagining every time they like hashtag kill on men. Yes, kill on men. They're imagining their mom go, oh yeah, my son has made such a good choice. That's Some Indian boys are spoiled though in California. They'll be driving the BMWs, like they get their first software engineering job and they buy a BMW. And I don't know how many of you have heard of this like meme about Bimmer, they call them Bimmers, Bimmer drivers, that they never turn on their turn signals while changing lanes. That's like a meme, cultural meme about BMW drivers. And it kind of makes sense, you know, if you factor in that a bunch of Indian software engineers in California are like having their moment of like teenage rebellion and buying BMWs, that's the extent of their rebellion. They will turn on their turn signal while switching lanes. And it's also kind of like driving a car in India, you know, like it's a bit of a ecstatic dance on the roads. It's like weave in and out, and you know, it's like in ecstatic dance you have consent communicated through eye contact, and here you just like honk the car horn. That's how you communicate consent. If you crash into someone, you say namaste. The same thing. It's the original ecstatic dance. Yeah, my car is a Abarth Spider. It's a Abarth Fiat 124 Spider. It's an Italian car with a Japanese engineering. So it still gives pretty good mileage, like miles per gallon, but it looks Italian. So the nice little Indian boy in me is still happy, but not spending too much at the gas station. When I'm driving and filling gas and not, like all of these like car bros will walk up to me and be like, oh yeah, what kind of engine does it have? Like how many horsepower? And I have no fucking idea. I've never been into cars really. I just like how the car looks. I enjoy driving it, so I have no fucking idea. The actual thing that I enjoy the most about the car is that it's like really low to the ground and I can drive with the top down. So I feel like really rooted and grounded in my root chakra, like I feel the energetic connection to the earth. While in my crown, I continue feeling like the sky all the time. I really feel this like constant, like, oh yeah, like I'm not blocked off anywhere, you know, like I feel grounded, I feel expanded. But you know, how am I gonna say this to like a dude at a gas stop in rural Virginia? I just like make up some shit, yeah, like 7 horsepower. Yeah, we are special, huh? Human beings. We are the only creatures that have that erect spine. So the bottom of our spine connects to the center of the earth, and the top of our spine can connect energetically to the center of the cosmos. So it's up to us to elevate consciousness. No other animals have this. This is from Dane Ruthyar. How many of you have heard of Dane Ruthyar? One person, good. How many of you are into astrology? Few, okay. I mean, well, study harder. Dane Ruthyar was like the most prolific writer of modern astrology from the mid 1900s. Like, also a polymath, like a pianist, composer, and he wrote like a shit ton of books from like 1930s, which was kind of the dark age of astrology in some ways, because if you told people you were an astrologer, you would get like banned. Like Carl Jung was an astrologer, but he was a shadow astrologer. Like he didn't tell anyone that he was an astrologer. He kept it hidden, which is fairly pathetic, no? Like that people had to hide that they were astrologers. And like looking back, when we think of these amazing humans who discovered amazing things, we like judge certain things that they did as like positive and certain other things that they did as negative. Like, people look at Isaac Newton and be like, oh yeah, great physicist, and then he got into some weird alchemy shit at the end of the life, and then there's like that duality. He's the same guy, like the reason he could do amazing shit in physics is because he had this weird aspect to him. So you gotta accept the weirdness of humans along with the positives. Yeah, it's like really ridiculous. So we have this like culture of, I call them like science identified humans. And their sense of science is actually pretty terrible, but they are like deeply identified with science. And you'll see it in like dating apps. It's like they'll have it listed. Like, yeah, I believe in science. It's such a ridiculous statement to make. I believe in science. What are you trying? This is the kind of person whose mom and dad believed extremely in the church, and then they had a fight with mommy and daddy, and they started believing in science. Like that's what's going on here. And all sorts of pathetic, ridiculous, illogical arguments that they make, and they believe that it is logical arguments. It's like drives me nuts on the internet these days. Just like people making logical arguments, people believing they're making logical arguments, but like are completely illogical stuff. I used to be one of them, so that's where some of this. I grew up like like a nice I had a science and engineering education, so I was atheist, of course. How many atheists do we have here? Derry. Wow.
Farmer.
How old are you?
48.
Oh my God, dude, come on, grow up. It's a ridiculous fucking idea. To not believe in God. Like, God is such an abstract concept. Belief is such an abstract concept. Existence is such an abstract concept. How do you like stitch it together into not believing in God? I've been studying a lot of mathematical logic in my pastime. And there's this like phenomenal work by Kurt Gödel, who was an Austrian logician from 1920s Vienna. Oh, there we go. Who? That's mine. I presented one of his proofs to Var and his brother not too long ago. So that's where that's coming from. And yeah, it's so fascinating his work. How many of you have heard of Kurt Gödel? 3-4 people. Okay, yeah. It's really fascinating that he basically logically, rigorously proved that in systems of logic that can support basic arithmetic, there are always statements that are true but unprovable. So in systems of logic that can support basic arithmetic, just addition, multiplication, there is always statements that are true but cannot be proven to be true. it's a pretty phenomenal result. And it's like, this is the edge of mathematical logic right now. Like, this is, the cutting edge. He was a contemporary of Einstein. They were like buddies in Princeton at the Institute for Advanced Studies. And like, when you look at these logical arguments that people make, many of them miss that. But they miss that part. They think that truths need to be proven. And they miss the fact that Gödel has proved that there are truths that exist that cannot be proven. And it's like interchangeably used on the internet. It drives me nuts. Because I used to believe that. I used to believe that truths need to be proven. Let's see. Yeah, I bought that car. I rented the. I rented the car first. 1 more minute. I rented the car first when I was in a slightly suicidal stage, and I kind of turned inwards and asked the suicidal parts inside me. It's like, what would you like to do? Truly, like, if you could do anything, what would you like to do? And these suicidal parts inside us, they are very, they're young. They're like really young parts. So the answer came very innocently. It's like, I want to ride in a convertible. And it's in some ways like Bollywood has painted this picture in India. It's like the dream is to immigrate to the US and drive a convertible across Golden Gate Bridge. Like, that's featured so many times in Bollywood movies that it's like created this. And I was like, okay, I see where this is coming from. It's because Shah Rukh Khan did that in one of his movies a long time ago. Yeah, I think we need to like talk about suicide more. And in fact, there needs to be like more comedy about it, because I imagine if there is more comedy about suicide, then less comedians would commit suicide. It seems to like, it would logically follow. I felt very smart when I came up with that logical deduction. Yeah, I have like a few jokes that I'd asked ChatGPT to write for me in case my material completely bombed. Okay, let's do. Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Why?
Because he was outstanding in his field. Why couldn't the bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired. Who is not a virgin the first time they're having sex? How did this sneak in here? It's funny. A human with a fully repressed childhood sexual trauma. And GPT like generates random shit these days. I don't get it. What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta. That's all, folks. Thank you.
Yeah!